Hello children, in this video we will continue lesson 14 water. Last time we had seen up to water cycle. What is water cycle? When the water brought back to the surface of the earth by rain, hail or snow and goes back to oceans. Thus water from the oceans and surface of the earth goes into air as vapor, returns as rain, hail or snow and finally goes back to the oceans. This circulation of water is called as water cycle. This circulation of water between ocean and land is a continuous process that maintains the supply of water on land. Now, let us see the conditions if it rains heavily or if there is no rain at all. The time, duration and the amount of rainfall varies from place to place. In some parts of the world, it rains throughout the year, while there are some places where it rains only for a few days. In our country, most of the rainfall occurs during the monsoon season. Rains bring relief especially after hot summer days. The sowing of many crops depends on the arrival of monsoon. However, excess of rainfall may lead to many problems. Rains may lead to rise in the level of water in rivers, lakes and ponds. The water may then spread over large areas causing floods. This situation is called as flood. The crop fields, forests, villages and cities may get submerged by water. In our country, floods cause extensive damage to crops, domestic animals, property and human life. During floods, the animals living in the water also get carried away with the water. They often get trapped on land areas and die when flood water recedes. Rains also affect the animals living in the soil. What happens if it does not rain for a long period? This will lead to drought in that particular region. The soil continues to lose water by evaporation and transpiration. Since it is not being brought back by rain, the soil becomes dry. The level of water in ponds and wells of that region goes down. Some of them may even dry up. The groundwater may also become scarce. This may lead to drought. In drought conditions, it is difficult to get food and fodder. You might have heard about droughts occurring in some parts of our country or the world. Are you aware of the difficulties faced by the people living in these areas? What happens to the animals and the vegetation in these conditions? The animals and people living in such areas will not get food. The vegetation will get dry. Try and find out about this by talking to your parents and neighbors and by reading about it from newspapers and magazines. How can we conserve water? Only a small fraction of water is available on the earth that is fit for use of plants, animals and humans. Most of the water is in oceans and it cannot be used directly. When the level of the groundwater decreases drastically, this cannot be used anymore. The total amount of water on earth remains the same, but the water available for us is very limited and is decreasing with overuse. If you use water by wasting it, then this will become scarce and there will be less availability of water. The demand for water is increasing day by day. The number of people using water is increasing with rising population. In many cities, long queues for collection of water are a common sight. In cities, you must have seen the long queues for fetching water at hand pumps or at taps. Also, more and more water is being used for producing food and by the industries. These factors are leading to shortage of water in many parts of the world. Hence, it is very important that water should be used carefully. We should take care not to waste water. Last part of this lesson is rainwater harvesting. One way of increasing the availability of water is to collect rainwater and store it for later use, for future. Collecting rainwater in this way is called as rainwater harvesting. The basic idea behind rainwater harvesting is catch water where it falls. That means collect water from the roofs and make it available in storage tanks for future. What happens to the rainwater that falls in places that are mostly covered with concrete roads and buildings? Obviously, all this water will flow down into the drains, isn't it? From there, water goes to rivers or lakes, which could be far away. A lot of effort will then be required to get the water back into our homes as the water did not seep into the ground. From concrete grounds or the roads, the water will not seep into the ground and therefore there will be less groundwater available. Here, two techniques of rainwater harvesting are discussed. One is a rooftop rainwater harvesting and another is allowing water to go into the ground directly from the roadside drains that collects rainwater. So first is rooftop rainwater harvesting. In this system, the rainwater is collected from the rooftop to a storage tank through pipes. This water may contain soil from the roof and need filtering before it is used. Instead of collecting rainwater in the tank, the pipes can go directly into a pit in the ground. This then seeps into the soil to recharge or refill the groundwater. Another method is to allow water to go into the ground directly from the roadside drains that collects rainwater. Thus, here we finish the lesson water. So, here we will stop. Bye children.